Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one, we are going to stick to Japan and we're going to return to a brewery that has now featured on the channel a couple of times before. Now, these guys are a very new addition to the Japanese beer scene, but they've built up a very good reputation for themselves over the last year that they've been active. And I would say that they're best known for their different kinds of New England hazy, whatever you want to call them, IPAs. Now, the beer that we're going to have a look at today is slightly different from the ones we've had from them before. It is supposed to be very nice, and it is one of their latest releases as well at the time of filming, which is very late December 2023. So, needless to say, I'm really curious to see what this one's going to have in store for us. Hopefully it's another good beer. Hopefully it makes for an interesting review, and as always, I hope that you guys watching enjoy my take on this one as well. So yeah, for this review then, we're going to head a little bit to the north of me here in Osaka to Nagoya in Aichi Prefecture. We're going to go out to the east of the city to Nagakuta, and that means that we're going to have a look at another beer from Totopia Brewery. So this particular beer is called Warp-phobia. I'm getting the word fear, mixing up fear and beer because of the names of these beers. But yeah, this one comes in at 6% ABV, and this is an oat cream hazy IPA with quite an interesting hop bill, which we'll come to a little bit later on. But yeah, the last beers that I had from Totopia were very, very nice. We had the Warp-phobia last time, which was a triple IPA at like 9 or 10% ABV, and then before that we had the Red-phobia, which was really, really nice too. So yeah, this is the first one I think we've had that has used oat cream, but it should be quite interesting. It's one that was picked for me by the guys at Liquor Shop Asahiya in Taishibashi Aichi here in Osaka, and they always give me some really good stuff. So big shout out to Koji and Rika once again. I'll put the link to their Facebook page in the video description below. So yeah, let's crack on with this one then and see what it has in store for us. So, as always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting though, just fast forward. All the usual links can be found in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Totopia Brewery before, and we will no doubt add more to that list in the near future. But there's all the usual social media down there. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The support that you give is massively appreciated, and remember, you can go into the channel homepage and search for beer using the geography tagging system. So just go in there, use the little search bar, put in your hometown, state, county, whatever you like. If I've reviewed beers from the area that you search for, they will pop up. Failing that though, you can check out the playlist of beers from different countries. You'll find this in the Japanese playlist along with many other things. That's being added to quite regular at the moment, of course, and you can check out the playlist of beers from other countries as well, because we have a lot of interesting things on the channel these days. But yeah, let's go on to my brewery notes then, and I'll tell you a little bit quickly about Totopia Brewery. So as I mentioned to you already, Totopia Brewery are based in Nagakuta in Aichi Prefecture, which is just out to the east of Nagoya. And the brewery was founded back in 2022, and it's the latest venture of the team behind Beer Pub Brick Lane in Nagoya. So Beer Pub Brick Lane was founded back in 2014 by Junya Morita and his wife Akiko, along with 3 friends. And this has become a really well-known beer and burger spot in the city. So somewhere that I will need to hit up when I do make it to Nagoya. I've never been there before. But the following year, they started the Nagoya Craft Beer Map, and they started market research in the US in order to form their own import company, which began importing American beers to Japan back in 2017. So they then opened their own beer shop, which was known as Used Like New Beer, in 2018, and this also acts as a sandwich shop as well. So again, something that I will need to go and film a little out and about video at for you. But at this point, they decided that they wanted to get into brewing their own beer, so they started planning to form their own brewery, and the name Totopia was chosen as a combination of the Japanese word toto, which means like precious, valuable, revered, and utopia, which we all know the meaning of. But the location of the brewery had originally been decided as Saito City, but this had to be changed quite suddenly, and they found the current plot of 600 square metres in Nagakuta, which is to the east of Nagoya City, as I mentioned, and the brewery released their first beers during the second half of 2022. They do plan to focus on using local ingredients in their beers and harvesting their own hops as well, but I think for the moment they are still importing most of the the malts and hops and things like that that they're using. It would be quite cool actually if we see a Japanese hop industry take off, because you can grow hops here, but obviously the problem is the lack of farmable land and things like that. Most things would have to be grown up on Hokkaido, because that's where the majority of the farming land is, from what I remember. But yeah, as of December 2023, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced 80 different kinds of beer according to Untappd, and that number will no doubt continue to increase. And like I said, these guys seem to be kind of specialising in the New England hazy IPAs at the moment. I have seen one or two other styles from them, but yeah, it's mainly kind of New England hazy beers that they've been putting out there. But we're starting to see a few sours. I think I've seen one or two other kinds of beers that, pale ales, and I think there was a lager as well at one stage. So yeah, just keep your eyes peeled for that, and you'll be able to try a few different things from Totopia. But this is the one that Rika recommended to me, and that's what we went with. So yeah, let's crack on with this one and actually have a look at the beer now. If you want to learn more about Totopia Brewery, just check out the brewery website in the video description below. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with the latest goings on, of course. But yeah, time for the beer. So yeah, as you can see, this is another half-litre can, which we commonly get from Totopia. Plain silver top on it there, and then you can see the warp in the middle there, which is great. So yeah, the hop bill in this one I think should be really nice. We've got Equinox Incognito, Chinook, Citra, Motueka and Mosaic. So mostly an American hop bill other than Motueka. Equinox comes in about 14% alpha acid, lovely American hop that gives you that big kind of quite zesty lime character. Chinook, of course, is known for its grapefruit and its kind of piney resins, about 14% alpha acid again, if I remember correctly. Citra, 14% alpha acid, lovely juicy kind of mango notes with quite a bit of complexity behind it too. Motueka is the New Zealand hop in this one, about 8% alpha acid, lovely quite juicy limey character for that one for the most part. And then Mosaic, 14% alpha acid, American once again, and it has quite a distinctive like tangerine orange from memory. So yeah, really nice looking beer this one in terms of its artwork, and you can see, I'll just let you see that too before we open up. There it is, the Totopia Brewery symbol. Looks really nice. You can see it's like a sheet or something like that with a cross on it. So yeah, interesting stuff. But let's crack this guy open and see what we have. So this is the Warp-phobia, a 6% oat cream hazy IPA from Totopia Brewery in Nagakuta near Nagoya and Aichi in central Japan. So let's look at this. Oh damn, that is one pale coloured IPA. This should be really interesting. The other ones were definitely more of a kind of deep yellow than this. So you can see that the beer has poured with just under a finger of a frothy, I would say perfect white head. You can see that there are some kind of bigger bubbles just up toward the top of the head there. You've got some medium-sized bubbles on the surface and some really foamy ones in the middle. So quite an interesting makeup of the head of this beer. That looks quite nice. But yeah, colour-wise, if I shine the light through this, you can see it has got a wee bit more of a kind of rich colour to it. But yeah, lovely kind of paleness at the same time. So remember, the colour of your beer depends on a few things. One, the type of malts that you use. That goes a long way to determining your EBC rating. Two, length of your wort boil is also going to play a role, because the longer you boil the wort, the more the sugars caramelise, and thus you get a darker colour of beer. But any barrel aging that you do or adjuncts you put into the beer will affect its colour as well. But yeah, when it comes to New England hazies, you don't often have to care about adjuncts and things like that. And generally speaking, with IPAs, it's only fruit IPAs that you really have to care about in that sense. So yeah, so let's have a wee look at the level of haze in this one. I'll say for sure that it's not the soupiest and gloopiest of New England IPAs that you're going to come across. And it's certainly one of the paler ones, as I said. I think that's probably the oat cream that's doing that. So yeah, it's certainly one of the, certainly one of the kind of paler ones, probably due to the oat cream. But the level of haze in this, the haze in these beers depends on the oat content, wheat content, and to a degree what yeast you use. And I'm guessing if this one, it's probably quite pale because it will be relying mainly on the kind of wheaty side of things. I think the oat cream is going to give you the paleness, and I think the colour is going to come mainly from the wheat and the barley malts in this one. So yeah, that looks pretty good, this one. Yeah, I really do think this looks quite nice. I've not seen a beer that pale, or a New England IPA that pale for quite a wee while. There's not much in the way of visible carbonation with this one either, but yeah, let's have a wee look at the aroma then and see what this one's going to have in store for us. Yeah, this one's really, it comes across as really kind of soft, and that is the thing you'll find with the oat cream IPAs. When I think about it, I don't know if I've ever had an oat cream single IPA. Now that I think about it, I think I've only ever really had the doubles. But yeah, the oat cream IPAs are always quite interesting. For me, yeah, I mean, for me, the thing that strikes me about this one is, for New England IPAs, they can often lean 6 different ways. You've got the barley malt bread, you've got the oaty creaminess, the wheaty bitiness, the sweeter side of things, you've got the rye leaning grainy character, and you've also got that farmhousey yeasty things. These are the 6 elements you can think about when it comes to New England IPAs. For me, this one comes across, I get quite a bit of barley malt out of it. I do get a wee bit of the wheatiness in the back of the nose, and I'm also getting a little bit of the, I'm obviously getting the kind of softness of the oats and the kind of creamy character in there as well. So yeah, the way that goes together, I think, is really quite nice. So for me, this is quite a citrusy and zesty leaning New England as well. And yeah, that's so it's really soft and oaty, and it's really zesty and citrusy leaning. But it makes sense when you look at the hop profile on this one. Yeah, you've got Equinaut in there and Motueka, and I would say that they're kind of dominating the aroma actually, which is quite interesting. So you get a lot of lime out of this. But let's just break it down and describe the aroma a little bit more in depth for you. So the backbone of the beer, fresh white bready bread crust, of course. A little bit of cracker, but not too much. Mainly just a fluffy kind of white bread rather than anything else. There's a wee bit of that dryness in the back of the nose there, which makes me wonder, is there a wee touch of like Pilsner malt in this? Yeah, fresh white bready bread crust, a little bit of cracker, a little bit of like dry Pilsner malty character in there. But yeah, it doesn't come across in the nose as being too wheaty. The more that I smell of it, the more that you do get a little bit of that wheaty bitiness in the back of your nose at the top, but then yeah, there's a softer, there's a softer kind of, I would say, yeah, there's a sort of softer, just, you know, you get a little bit, the creaminess in this one. The oats are quite interesting. I'm wondering if it's American oats that are in this, because they come across as quite smooth, and I noticed that with the American oats, that they are a little bit smoother than the and a little bit drier as well than the European oats, and I'm picking that little bit of dryness up in the aroma here. So yeah, that's really interesting for me actually. Yeah, the way that goes together is pretty nice. There is a little touch of like sweetness to this beer, but yeah, there is a little touch of sweetness coming out of this one, but it's quite it's just not too much. You get a little bit of that Werther's Original butter candy butterscotch and a very slight hint of like McVitie's Digestive Biscuit, but as I say, that really takes a back seat to everything else. Now on the hoppy side of things, you get a teeny little bit of earthiness out of this one. That's going to be the mosaic that gives you that. There's a big floral component to this too. So yeah, big floral component. And I think the Chinook is going to be quite a big contributor to that. So yeah, big deep dankness, floral aromaticity in this one. Then you've got that nice grassy, yeah, you do have that really nice kind of bright grassiness in there too, which I think is great. So yeah, green component in this one is quite pungent. One of the things you'll notice about New England IPAs is that the green component tends to be quite bright and quite floral compared to the West Coast IPAs where it's very deep and very dank, and that's due to the different kinds of hoppings that you can do. So with IPAs you have three types of hoppings. Early edition hopping within the first hour of the wort boil gives you mainly bitterness and the deeper dank aroma. Late edition hopping, which gives you a little bit of bitterness, mainly flavour and aroma, and it gives you quite a bright grassy, zesty kind of aroma. And then the how would you say, the last kind of hopping is dry hopping, which takes place after the wort boil is complete, and that's all flavour and aroma, and again quite a bright green component is what you're going to get out of that. So yeah, the way that pieces together, I think, is really quite nice. So yeah, on the green component, it's what I would kind of want, and it suits the kind of zestier nature of the hop profile here. But on the fruitiness, on the fruity side of things, just to round off the aroma, like I said earlier, this one you get the Motueka and the Equinor really dominating the aroma here, because you get that big zesty lime from the Equinor, and you're also getting the juicier lime from the New Zealand Motueka. But beyond that, you do get kind of the juicy orange. You can feel that tangerine orange from the you can feel that tangerine orange from the mosaic coming out of this one. And there is a wee bit of the mango from the Citra, and I'm getting like a sort of soft papaya, pineapple-y type note as well, which Citra can of course give you. The Chinook would normally give you quite a strong grapefruit. There's maybe a teeny hint of that in the top of the nose, but nah. It's mainly, yeah, the Motueka and the Motueka and the Equinox dominate for me, and the other ones are kind of just, they're in there in the background. And I wonder, I always think this when I do these reviews, I wonder if the Equinox and the Motueka are what are standing out to me, because if I wonder if these are the ones standing out to me because they're not the most common ones that you come across. In beers that often. Citra and Mosaic are very, very common. Motueka is quite popular, has been quite popular in Sweden, but it's been a wee while since I've had those more limey hops. And Equinox, one that I've not really come across in a wee while either. So yeah, interesting stuff. But as I always say, take a bit of time just to enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck in. I think it's about time that we try this one now though. So this is the Warp-phobia, a 6% oat cream hazy IPA from Totopia Brewery, Nagakuta, Aichi Prefecture, just outside of Nagoya in central Japan. Slanja, skål, cheers, kampai. That's nice. Really soft, smooth, just drinkable hazy IPA, this one. Yeah, really quite good. As I say, this one, if I remember correctly, I think this is the lightest. I think the red phobia that I tried, I'm sure that was like 7%. And then the one phobia, which I kept the can for, it's over there on top of the fridge. That one is, yeah, that was like 9% or something, or 10%, I forget. So this lighter, drinkable side of the beer is really good actually. So thumbs up to Totopia. Once again, very, very solid beer. Yeah, this was really nice. It was one thing, until I went to the States this time, I struggled to enjoy single hazy IPAs and the hazy paleos, to be honest with you. But since I've been to the US this time and tried some of their ones, with the way the oats are, the way the American oats are, I've really started to appreciate the style a little bit more than previously. And yeah, I think Totopia, if I'd be curious to try one of their paleos and see what it's like, but if they can do paleos like this that have that slightly thicker mouthfeel, then I think I could really get into these more. But as I say, this is a really, really nice beer. Very smooth, very light, as I say, quite citrusy leaning, but the green component's actually quite a bit wetter than I thought it was going to be. So let's just try and break this beer down a wee bit more and describe the flavour for you as we always do. So, backbone of the beer then. This one, if we go to that middle third of the palate, the backbone of that beer is that lovely, fresh, white bready bread crust. The way that goes together is really, really nice. And if you move further forward on that middle third of your palate, you get a little touch of cracker, a very slight touch of woody character there. I often get that. But then, the malt base on this one comes across as being quite straightforward. Above the bread crust, you have a little bit of above the bread crust, you've got a little bit of a kind of wholemeal. You get a little bit of that wholemeal brown bready character. So yeah. And then above that, you get the softer, white bready character. Yeah, so soft white bread, wholemeal brown bread, soft white bread in there, and then you have the a little bit. You can feel that there's a sort of wheaty layer there. You can just feel that little bit more of a dense, wheaty white bread above the kind of barley malt white bread. So you can feel that there. And it has a little bit of bite to it, which is interesting. But then you start to get the oats. And the oat cream is interesting because I don't know why I've always made this association that oat cream IPAs tend to be really thick and very, very creamy. It's probably just because cream is in the name of the ingredient. But the way that kind of all pieces together, I think, is nice. So you can feel the oat cream, like as you go down the middle line of your tongue, you can feel the oat cream character is just that little bit more dense. So the oat cream is just that little bit more dense. And as you move out toward the edges of your palate, I think you're getting a wee bit more of a kind of sweetness out of the oat cream too. But if you go to the dead centre of your palate, you have that little bit of sweet. If you go to the dead centre of your palate, you have that little bit of sweet, kind of Werther's Original, butter candy, butterscotch, and there's a wee bit of biscuit as well. So Werther's Original, butter candy, butterscotch in the dead centre of your tongue, then the McVitie's Digestive biscuity quality as you push further out toward the kind of edges of the palate. So and that sits on top of that nice kind of smooth oaty sort of thing. The way that all that pieces together, I think, is really quite nice. So on the the middle third of your palate, I think we've said everything we really need to. So back third of your palate then, if you go to that border region between middle and back third of the palate, soft white, you've got a kind of soft, fluffy kind of white bread in the middle there, a little bit of brown bread in the base, but then as I often say, on the back third of your palate, you're going to get similar flavours to what you do in the middle third of your palate. You're going to get similar flavours there, but they just come out at different intensities. And drier flavours tend to be further back on the palate in my experience. So, pardon me, for me, the back third of your palate, there's a lovely little bit of, there's a wee bit of a kind of, you're getting the base is that kind of dry, white bready bread because you can feel it's drier on the back third of the palate than it is further forward. On top of that, you have on top of that, you get the brown bready layer, which feels a little bit lighter and a little bit more airy. Then you get the white bready layer above that, which again feels lighter and more airy, and you can feel just some of the wheaty bitiness creeping over from that middle third of your palate on top, and yeah, that lingers into the aftertaste as well. So yeah. So on top of all of that, you start to get the yeastiness out of the beer. And the yeastiness in this beer is quite interesting. So you get a little bit of a more dense, sweet, you get a little bit of that more dense kind of sweet white bready character out of this one. So dense, sweet, white bready character. You've got a nice little bit of kind of like more fluffy kind of honeycomb. You've got a little bit of fluffy bread and then a little bit of honeycomb there. It's got a little bit of that sweet honeycomb kind of note to it. I often get honeycomb on the back third of the palate with the yeasty side of things for some reason. So yeah, dense white bread, fluffier white bread, then a wee bit of honeycomb, and yeah, that the back third of your palate, you can feel the flavour there. The flavour is definitely taller. Then as you move into the middle third of your palate, it just kind of condenses down and squashes together that little bit more. So yeah, that's really very nice. On the on the hoppy side of things, then green component first. Yeah, the green component, as I mentioned earlier, is really quite bright. In the back corners of your palate, you do get a little bit of earthiness. As I said earlier, that's probably the mosaic, to a degree the Chinook as well. And as you move further forward along the sides of your palate, you can feel there is a little bit of that deeper, danker character that you'd expect of the Chinook. But then, yeah, as you move further forward, you start to feel the deeper, danker character on the sides of your palate. And as you reach the front corners of your tongue, you've got a little bit more of that kind of spicy, floral aromaticity, which is great. And then round the front curve of your tongue, there's a wee bit of that lighter, more zesty grassiness coming out of it again. And I really do like how that pieces together. So, yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, so on the on the green component, I think that's everything we really need to say. My brain's got a bit slow because I'm a little bit tired today, running around a lot. So yeah, this beer was very much needed, I have to say. So yeah, the nice zesty grassiness that you get there on the front kind of tip of your tongue, I think that's probably going to be the Equinox that's going to be contributing most to that. But Citra is quite capable in that regard too. But let's focus on that front third of your palate then and get we'll focus on the front third of your palate and we'll get the fruity side of the beer. So the border region between front third and middle third of your palate, you've got a nice little bit of brown bread in the base again, the fluffier white bread on top, then the base of the front third of your palate, you've got the bread crust, you've got the brown bread and the white bread, and then you get that nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters just roll their way out of the beer. So let's look at that. So yeah, the fruity side of the beer I really like. This could potentially be my favourite beer that I've had from Totopia, now that I think about it. But I quite like, I think it's a nice change of pace, this beer, compared to what I've been having otherwise, because it's just got that more limey, citrusy sort of leaning to it. So that's probably why it's kind of sticking out to me a bit, but certainly it's very nicely done. On the fruity side of things then, if we start at the back of that front third of your palate, yeah, you do get a little touch of that grapefruit that you'd expect. That comes both from the Citra and from the Chinook, I would say. Chinook is normally a bittering hop as well, so I'd be curious to see the actual brew sheet for this beer and see when they added things and so on. But yeah, there's a little bit of that kind of deeper, more pungent grapefruit flavour in there, but not overly much. It doesn't dominate the beer at all. But yeah, as you move further forward, you get a good little bit of you certainly get a good little bit of more kind of juicy mango. There's maybe a little bit of passion fruit as well, but definitely juicy mango. That's the citra. As you reach the middle of that front third of your palate, you've got a nice little bit of like papaya or something underneath and a bit of juicy pineapple on top. And then as you go into the front half of the front third of your palate, you can feel the kind of tangerine oranges from the mosaic in there. But then yeah, above that, it's all about the lime. You know, it's the equinox, it's the motueka just jumping out of the beer, and you can feel that linger in there into the aftertaste. But yeah, you have a really nice mix of things going on. Citra is going to contribute a little bit to that lemony limey sort of character as well. It can do, although I find that the lemony limey character from Citra is a little bit more oily. So yeah, the kind of more oily lime, I think, is coming from the Citra. The juiciness is coming from the motueka rather, and then the more kind of zesty, pungent lime is coming from the equinox, I would say. So it's quite interesting to notice these little bits of subtlety in the mouthfeel and the flavour. So yeah, really interesting stuff, and really enjoyed this beer actually. Let's round off the review then with a wee look at the mouthfeel. So for me, the mouthfeel, it's quite this is quite light, this one. I'd say it's mid-bodied, right in the middle of the spectrum. Little bit of crisp carbonation, very clean. You know, you've always got that Japanese cleanliness to the beer, and that shines through in this one. Yeah, really nicely done. New England IPA. I think in terms of its IBUs, I think it's a fairly standard 30, which is obviously the kind of norm for this style, so about 30-ish IBUs. The malt, as we said, there's a bit of dryness underneath, smoothness in the middle, a little bit of kind of sweetness and creaminess on the top. And then yeah, you have this, you know, you've got a little touch of sweetness in there as well, which comes out into the aftertaste. Then yeah, big juicy fruity character too. So yeah, I think the way that pieces together is really nice. So yeah, the way that goes together, I think, is nice. This is a really nice beer, and I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. I just noticed on the side it says it's best before the 18th of June 2024. I certainly wouldn't want to leave this beer sitting around 6 months. I would try and drink this one fresh because it's in a really nice place at the moment. You want New England IPAs to have, you know, 2 or 3 weeks in the can just to mellow out, in my opinion, so that some of the kind of green and the hop burn can dissipate a little bit. But at this point at the time of drinking, I think it's really nice. I don't know if it has the canned on date. I don't see that, but yeah, it says best before, so I'm guessing that this one was maybe canned on the 18th of December this year. But yeah, beautiful beer, this one. Certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again, and this kind of shows you as well why Totopia are so highly regarded. So try some of the beers if you haven't already. But yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. So this was the Warp-phobia, a 6% oat cream IPA from Totopia Brewery in Nagakuta, just to the east of Nagoya, in Aichi Prefecture here in Japan. Lovely stuff, this, and I've really enjoyed it. So let's leave it there. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Totopia as well, and we will see about returning to these guys at some point in the near future, probably the next time I make it to Japan. But until then, Slange, Skål, cheers, check out my social media, check out Totopia's social media, and I'll see you guys again shortly. Kanpai.